Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of This is Rico, trying to heal my inner child. Once again, I want to start with telling you all that I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a medical professional in any way. Just a regular person trying to navigate through life and trying to navigate what's going on in here. And like I said before, I've come a long way, but I still have quite a long way to go. So, in this episode, I want to touch down on getting into my 20s, becoming a young adult, so to speak. I mean, technically, I was a young adult. I was still stuck in my childhood mentality on a lot of things, but that's one thing I didn't realize at the time. Now, 1991, I turned 20 years old. And that, let me tell you, was a good time to be alive. It was a good time to be young. There was a lot of good bands, a lot of festivals, a lot of good stuff. And we tried to get out there and do experience as much of it as we could. I mean, there was a group of us, and I had some good friends. I had some friends that were not so good friends. I had some friends that were just more acquaintances, and I had some friends that were really just friends of friends. And that's okay. I mean, everybody seemed to get along, and that was what was important, was that we all just got along and hung out with each other, or at least tolerated each other. And we had some good times. Now, looking back on those times, I remember my younger brother would tag along or sometimes bring a couple of his friends, and was always at my friends' parties. The more the merrier, man. We didn't care. Yeah, bring them over, bring them along. But when he would go to parties, he wouldn't invite me. He would just go, and I wouldn't see him until the next day. I'm like, "Where were you?" "Oh, I went to a party." "Oh, okay." So I didn't quite understand that, but you know, sometimes when you look out for somebody and you think that they're going to reciprocate and maybe look out for you in return, they usually won't. And I'm not saying this is typical or usual, but in my experience, when I would go forward and do nice things for someone and expect it in return, I was just only fooling myself. And I'm only talking about the people that I knew. I could bend over backwards for every single one of them, but they weren't going to do the same thing for me. And, that's just how it was. Didn't realize it at the time. I remember thinking to myself that these are the only people that are going to hang out with me, because I'm not good enough to hang out with anybody else, whatever that means. And and then there was like the small group of friends. We all stuck together. We stuck together at school, and then after school, we kind of still stuck together. And it helped that we were all musicians, so we would jam as often as we could. We would play music as often as we could, forming different bands. One of the bands we actually recorded and did some stuff, and it was a lot of fun, but it just kind of imploded after a while. And it's just a thing with my experience with men. Men are super competitive, very ego driven, only really concerned about themselves, and will step over you for any type of advantage. And it's something it's discouraging when it's happening, because here you are, here I am offering like loyalty, and all I get is, yeah, okay, thanks. And that maybe thanks. But I'm going to take a real quick break, and I'll be back with a little more. This is Rico, trying to heal my inner child. and welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child, getting back to my early 20s and my friends, and more specifically, how my childhood experiences shaped and framed how I behaved and how I reacted to things and to people. And during this time, it was difficult still because I'm still trying to figure out who I am. During my childhood, who I was squashed. It was pushed down. And growing up, you think that's normal. Okay, maybe I am a weirdo. Maybe I am what they say I am. They tell you for so long that you start to believe it. So I had a difficult time speaking up for myself. I had a difficult time just speaking up at all. A lot of times it was go with the flow, don't upset the herd, just kind of let things happen. And I had ideas. I had stuff that I wanted to do, and I had hoped that we could all kind of work together and do stuff, but nobody really seemed to want to listen at times. Everyone wanted to be the leader, everyone wanted to have the say. A lot of times you would hear, well, I say we should do this, I say we should do that. And, just wanting to assert this leadership that was not necessary. We didn't need a leader. We were just a group, a unit. We worked together. But for some reason, every kind of little group turns into some sort of hierarchy, where someone thinks they're here and then they put you here and then everyone else is here. When it shouldn't be like that at all. We should all be right here. All of us together, working together. And I want to say that others' reactions, others' behaviors, as far as the others are concerned, maybe they had their own issues. Maybe they had their own past, their own childhoods. I don't know the specifics on anyone as far as that kind of stuff goes. I know that we were a bunch of weirdos. We all had that in common. But that's all I knew about. I don't remember ever really talking that much about my parents. Once in a while, I would complain about them, but I didn't talk about them much. And I don't remember anybody else really talking about their parents as much, except for a few. So that being said, I still can't speak on anyone else's behaviors. I can't speak on anyone else's experiences. I can only speak on my own and my own perception on things, which is, what I hope to continue to do. But having a hard time explaining myself, and then having a hard time with sometimes I'd just be ignored. Sometimes I would have an idea and just kind of bring it up and just kind of get shut down or ignored, and that would trigger me bad, because that would just bring up the alienation. That would bring up the ignoring my ideas and my thoughts and my feelings. Not that I'm not trying to say that my feelings are the most important, but everybody should have at least a say. You should at least consider it, and then we go from there. I couldn't even get to the consideration stage. I would just speak and then be treated like I was silly, or I was joking. And that would make me upset. That would really trigger. But my preferred reaction to stuff like that was to shut down, to stop talking and just say, okay, fine, do what you're going to do. I don't want to upset the herd anymore. I'll just take my ideas and my feelings and my thoughts, and I'll squash them down into this little bottle where I keep them anyway, and we'll continue on, because I didn't want to upset anybody else. Walking on eggshells again. And even though I was upset, it didn't matter. But I'm going to take a real quick break. I'll be right back with a little more. This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child, getting back to my 20s and more specifically my interactions with my friends, playing in the bands with my friends and just playing music. I found myself again looking for approval, looking for approval from people that just really had no business even giving it, but I needed it from somewhere, and I had hoped maybe these guys will, you know, respect me for my skills and for what I can do, but not really. Nah, yeah. All I wanted was a little approval. They always seemed to know somebody that was better. They always seemed to know somebody else that was, maybe just as good or had better equipment or just was better because they played longer. I just wanted to be respected for my skills, but a lot of times I was made to feel like a tag along, like I was lucky to be hanging out with them. That's kind of how I felt. We got along for the most part. We were a group of friends. But when it came to jamming or when it came to stuff like that, it was different. When we all sit around and play video games, we were all equals. But then when we started playing, then suddenly we weren't equals anymore. And I just, everybody kind of had their own thing. They were only worried about their own skills. They were only worried about what they were doing. And, it's understandable because I was doing the same thing. I was just wanting to be noticed for my craft. And I think that's what they were doing as well. We could have all been a little more supportive of each other, perhaps. I don't really remember. I remember, saying, wow, that really sounds cool. That sounds cool. But nobody ever would really, give it back to me. And I was discouraging when I would hear about, oh, this guy's really good too. And this guy's really good. I didn't do that to anyone else. I never talked about other people and how good that they were. I had never pushed anything like that on them. I don't know why. I don't know why they did it to me, but I just accepted it. I think, again, I'm feeling like I'm not really going to be good enough to go anywhere else. These are the only people that will hang out with me, so I have to make the best of it. That whole time, I could have gone out and jammed with anyone, but I didn't because I fooled myself. I convinced myself that I just wasn't going to go anywhere else, that I wasn't good enough to go anywhere else. And that sounds familiar, doesn't it? I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Nobody else is going to accept me. I'm lucky to be here. This is another carbon copy of my childhood, but just with different people now. Sometimes, and maybe this is just my perception, but sometimes I was made to feel like I wasn't good enough at playing my drums. Or at least, like I said, mentioned before, like I wasn't at their skill levels, or so they thought. And that was an infuriating trigger. You're not good enough. And not using those words, but pretty much saying that message. Oh, if you could do this, you would be better. If you could do that. But instead of just accepting and saying, oh, this is what you can do, and this is awesome. No, there was always kind of a, well, what else can you do? Well, can you do this? Oh, well, oh. There was always a disappointment for the stuff I couldn't do and never really excitement for what I could. And that was infuriating. But again, I kept it all to myself like I usually did. And yeah, we're going to take a real quick break. And I want to conclude this video with just a little more. And then I think I'm going to do a second part. So I'll be back in just a second with a little more. This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Welcome back to This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Just want to finish up this video here by finishing up on my early 20s and my time with my friends. Now, we were all friends. We all got along. We got along pretty great. We hung out as much as we could. But and we made fun of each other quite regularly, which is normal, healthy. But sometimes when you would poke fun a little bit and their only way of coming back is by cutting deep, by getting real personal, by saying something real hurtful and act like they were just joking. Everyone's just joking. Oh, just joking, you know. And if I said something like that to them, then they would get all bent out of shape. So again, I'm walking on eggshells because I'm around a bunch of sensitive little babies that just, could dish it out but couldn't take it. And everyone was like that. Everyone had stuff to say. And then when you get them back, then they would get upset. Oh, and then oh no, you can't upset this guy because he's going to blow up again, which was regular. So we had to be careful what you said. We had to be careful what we did. But yeah, we all had our issues, but more often than not, everyone acted like children, like little scared children. And again, now in hindsight, maybe we all had our issues, maybe we all had our things going on. But nobody ever really tried to either deal with it or do anything about it. Just react in the ways we did, and we just dealt with it and just how it was. And, like I mentioned before, I didn't think I was good enough to go jam with anybody else. I didn't think I was good enough to even try. So I didn't even consider it. There's so many bands that I could have jammed with, and I just was afraid. The fear, the anxiety, the doubt are very, very, very strong in me at this point. And they stopped me from doing a lot of things. And I wanted to do a lot of things, and I just was too scared to try. I was too scared to pursue things. I was just down on myself because I thought I was only here because I listened to everybody around me. And I did that more often than I care to admit. And times where I just held back what I was thinking or feeling because I didn't want to hurt anybody else's feelings. But they would do it regularly and it was okay. And in my mind, it was either deal with this or I'll be all alone. I mean, years later, I found out that I could join other bands and I could find other people that are out there that are willing to jam and we could all have fun. But I let the fear and the doubt stop me, and the anxiety just kind of kept me from even considering it. So, in this next episode, I'm going to deal with my early 20s and my work experiences, which are really not much different, but they're a whole different story altogether. So, I'll get back to the fear and the anxiety and the doubt and my interactions with people. So, I thank you for watching. I thank you for subscribing and following. I thank you for sharing. Please get this message out to anyone out there that might relate. And I just want us all to get along, get together, and be a community. And that's all I want. So, with that being said, this has been another episode of This is Rico trying to heal my inner child. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you again very, very soon.